Most new Amazon sellers struggle to go from $0 sold to $10,000 in revenue per month. I was in your shoes 10 months ago before selling $290,000 in December with over 60K in profit. In this video, I'll break down my journey, sharing the mistakes that I made along the way so that you can avoid those mistakes and get to profitable months faster. My name is Pete. I'm an Amazon online arbitrage seller that scaled very quickly in 2023, making $70,000 in profit in December alone, and will sell even more this year. As we get started in this video, I want to take you back to where I started in 2016. I would go to Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, and find products to sell on eBay. I hadn't found Amazon at this point, but enjoyed the process of buying products and selling them at a profit. This was more of a hobby. I had a stable 9 to 5. I wasn't looking to make a ton of money, but enjoyed the process. This included scanning tons of products in these stores, and I found that my best products were ones that I was already familiar with. For me, this meant that baseball items, specifically baseball cleats, were my real winners. This meant scanning tons of products in these stores, and I found that my best products were ones that I was already familiar with. This meant that baseball items, specifically shoes and cleats, were my real winners. This was because I was familiar with these markets and didn't really need to look up the price to know that I would be profitable. So for new sellers, I would highly recommend that you start in a market that you are interested in. You have a solid background in this space. This will make the most of your time when you spend time doing retail arbitrage. For me, it was baseball cleats. I grew up playing baseball. I understood how much they would sell for. So if I saw a product for $5 or $10, I knew that I could make money on that product. In 2018, I opened my Amazon account. I bought dog bowls for next to nothing using a friend's employee discount at the Container Store. They were such a good deal, I didn't even look up their sales history on eBay. Little did I know that folks are not buying their pet supplies on eBay. I had about $100 worth of these dog bowls that I bought without looking up the sales history on eBay, so I created my Amazon store in hopes of selling them there. These dog bowls sold pretty quickly. I turned $5 into $20 profit per bowl, but did not have any friends that sold on Amazon. I felt that Amazon was very complicated and knew nobody that was selling there. This shows the power of having a network and seeing people around you dealing with the same problems that you are. If I had had friends selling on Amazon, I would have had questions that could have been answered very quickly and taken more advantage of the opportunity that was available in 2018. So if you're just starting on Amazon, I highly recommend that you make friends in the space that you can mastermind with. This will allow you to solve problems together rather than being overwhelmed by yourself. Every time your friends have success or they solve a problem, it will remind you of evidence that you can do the same and will make sure that you maintain your momentum when you are first starting. After selling the dog bowls, I went back to selling on eBay. I was continuing to go to Ross and Marshalls. I was comfortable with that process and knew that it worked. I didn't make a ton of money, but still enjoyed the process, and it was still a fun hobby for me. This all changed in 2020 when I started seeing more and more people figure out ecom. There were tons of opportunities in 2020, and I found the majority of my success in baseball cards. Again, this was a market that I understood and was comfortable in. I was familiar with advanced player stats and could compare their current card prices to what their expected performance would be. My best flips were with Shohei Ohtani baseball cards. He's a unique player that can hit and pitch, and he was coming off of an injury during 2020. All of his cards, in my opinion, were basically free because I understood that he was unique and that his performance would improve as he got healthy. I spent tons of nights sniping eBay auctions and buying as many cards as I possibly could. My best flip was finding a $100 Ohtani card that I eventually sold for $3,500. So the lesson here is that you really should niche into a category that you already understand. You will find the best success here. I spent time selling basketball and football cards, and I will tell you guys, I did not do nearly as well in those categories simply because I don't understand those sports as well as I understand baseball. Another big flip for me in 2020 were bike racks. Living in Colorado at the time, there were tons of local opportunities to buy bike racks and then sell them at 3 to 4 times my money. My best flips came from Goodwill. My brother worked at Goodwill at the time, and I would simply ask him to put any bike racks that were donated to the side, and then I would come in and pay full price for them whenever I picked him up from work. This highlights how important it is to make relationships with people at the stores when you are doing retail arbitrage. My competition had no chance to get those products, and not only did they not have an opportunity to get them, but they also had to drive to the store to determine if they were there, and then they searched for the products. I had them reserved for me, and I was able to then just pick them up when I picked him up, pay full price, and then sell them the next day. Late in 2021, I noticed that pools were selling for ridiculous amounts on Amazon, and I also discovered that I was ungated in those brands. I was buying pools for $400 and selling them at $1,200 to $1,300 on Amazon. I sold about $30,000 in pools, but the day before I was supposed to get paid, almost all of that money was gone in Seller Central. I had no idea what was going on, but then I discovered that I had been fined a significant amount of money in overweight shipping fines. The pools I was selling were 151 pounds, and I didn't think that UPS would care if they were over by a few ounces. Their overweight limit is 150 pounds, but clearly they did care. Had I had a community of people around me, I'm sure that someone would have faced that problem and told me about it so that I could avoid that mistake. It highlights the importance of having people around you that are going in the same direction so that you can get feedback so much faster rather than making all of these mistakes on your own. After getting those fines and facing the reality of not being able to pay off my credit cards, I knew that I would have to find a way to make ends meet. Luckily for me, shortly after pools, there was a huge spike in chlorine prices. I was able to offset all of those losses by buying chlorine for $100 and selling it from anywhere from $400 to $500. Now, I did not take nearly as much advantage of that opportunity as I should have. I stayed in my comfort zone in regards to spend, but should have found as much capital as humanly possible to buy every bucket of chlorine that was available. I was happy being even after the pools. Had I had a group of friends to push me, I probably would have acknowledged the opportunity for what it was and bought as much as I could find. Living in Wisconsin, nobody was buying chlorine when it was in demand in the South. So there was tons of it available, and I didn't push the needle as much as I could have. So it highlights the importance of having people around you, friends that are also doing the same thing that you are. After the summer, I was pretty worn out with doing my own fulfillment, pools and chlorine. It was a lot of work. So I took some time off from selling because doing that fulfillment while holding down a 9 to 5 felt like a lot. I was in a Bolo group that was going after collectibles. This meant looking at monitors frequently and getting tons of alerts on my phone. It was totally overwhelming. I still had to do my own fulfillment, so it was totally overwhelming and didn't feel very rewarding. I had to go list everything on eBay and I had to manage all of the fulfillment myself. Luckily, before I left this Bolo group, I heard of someone talking about prep centers with Amazon. I hadn't heard of this before and it sounded super appealing. What I didn't realize at the time was I was not the sort of person that deserved to find success. I was an anonymous profile, and the only value that I offered that Bolo group was my monthly membership fee. I wasn't finding products for the group. I was just expecting everything to come to me. Now that I look back on that, I realize that I should have inversed that and found ways to offer value, and I am sure that I would have found more value from that community. So what I learned from that is that you should really look for ways to offer value. You don't have to be the best seller, but it is important that you show your face online and offer value in any way that you can. In 2023, my only goal was to find a prep center and continue selling. I put my ego aside and began consuming as much free content as possible, and then found myself paying for information in the form of mentorship. This cut down on my learning curve tremendously. Not only did I make a bunch of money during 2023, but I was active in the Twitter community and made a ton of friends. The lesson that I pulled from this is that success does not always go to the smartest person, but it goes to the person that shows up for the longest period of time and is the most authentic. It goes to the person that is willing to put aside their ego and acknowledge that someone might know more about a subject than they do and just continuously show up. In July of 2023, I posted my first videos on Twitter, and I did this for 90 consecutive days. I was terrified of the camera at first, but it began attracting people to me rather than me needing to find people. The camera is the heaviest when you are getting started, but you have to acknowledge the opportunity it presents. You can create a funnel of information into you rather than having to go find it yourself. This may seem transactional, but it isn't. If in your videos you are offering value, other people will want to return the favor. Value can look like sharing the early struggles, or it can be sharing a tip about a mistake that you made so that other people can avoid it. By no coincidence, a month after I posted my first video, I put up my first $130,000 month. This is with over $20,000 in profit. It was clear that I was fully invested in this process and the results began to show up. What I learned from this is there's very little value in being in an anonymous account online. The folks that are seeing the most success, the success that you want, are the ones that are most frequently putting their face to their profile. There's a ton of opportunity in the online arbitrage space in 2024. I hope that you found value in this video and that it helps you avoid some of the mistakes that I made. 2024 is the best time to start selling on Amazon. If you are looking for a free community, we started a free Discord group called Beyond 9 to 5. The goal is to help new Amazon sellers start their journey by giving them a community and giving them resources to be successful. I'll throw the link below. If you're new to my channel, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, I will be sure to reply to all comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.